my gosh. Hey guys, welcome to Star Wars on High. Thank you for stopping by. We are back, and guys, it's going to be spoiler filled. It is going to be full of spoilers. I know I'm late to this review. Unfortunately, I had to work and do some events, and then I'm not home till late, and so I'm late to the game. There's going to be spoilers here. Click away now if you've not watched the episode because there is a ton to talk about, and I'm going to get going in 3, 2, 1. This episode got so much right to me. Absolutely understood the objective, understood the fun, understood what we wanted to see, gave us some awesome moments, completely nailed the fun factor, the emotional high. I had watched the episode. I was definitely invested, having an absolute fantastic time. This episode had some problems. It had some minor things I feel like could have been cleaned up that we'll talk about, but overall, it absolutely nailed the fun factor for me. And I don't know what the internet reaction is to this because I have to delete Twitter and YouTube on these days from my phone, so I can't be spoiled because I don't want to have my impressions tainted. I don't want to know what the community thinks. I want to come in fresh. And I might look silly. Everyone might hate this episode. I thought this episode was absolutely awesome, and it did have some flaws, but the good so far outweighed the bad that I don't really much care. I had a fantastic time. There are some absolutely rewatchable moments in the episode. Some really fun moments. And I can tell you this right now. We're going to talk about it in so much detail on tomorrow night's stream. It's going to be me and Ben. And if I know anything about Ben, he didn't like this episode, and so I did, and we're going to have a very fun time talking about this. It's going to be a blast. Now, let's just walk through what worked. Guys, that ending 10 minutes, I don't care. People are going to say, oh, it's all spectacle. That's why I could see some negativity. Oh, it's like Vader in Rogue One. It's all spectacle. No, I don't care. It was so much fun. It was so awesome. It was everything. This episode had so many things people claimed they wanted. Oh, we want prequel era flashbacks. Boom, here you go. Here's it's such a good idea. Training montage, compare it to their confrontation now. I love it. Oh, I want to see Anakin going hard, killing the younglings. Order 66, we got it. Oh, I want to see Vader, full force. Vader pulling a ship out of the sky, ripping the doors off, going hard on it. Then absolutely just manhandling third sister. Not because I don't like that character, but because he should. He's that powerful. He should just be dismissive when he just, first of all, just completely handles her with one hand. And then decides like, hey, let's have an honorable kind of confrontation. Snaps blade in half. Let's fight. They fight. She like thinks she outmaneuvers him. He just takes her out, force grabs the lightsaber. It's like, hey, I stab you. I knew the whole time, by the way. Grand Inquisitor reveal. Boom. Okay, that's just fun. It is just fun. And I know I could sit here and say, well, wait a second. How did they? I mean, did they really know to set that second ship off? You say, well, yeah, that was Kenobi's whole plan the whole time. It was based on his lessons back then. Okay, I mean, is it realistic? I don't care. I just don't care. And that's what I'm saying. I know that that's going to rub some people the wrong way, but I have to be honest with you guys. It so much of Star Wars for me is about having fun. And I understand that you know, there are some people like, oh, I can't overlook that. It doesn't click for me. I could, because I thought I had that much fun. I thought it was that awesome. I thought the score in this episode nailed it. Compared to the episode 3, where I felt like the score took too much of a backseat, this episode, the score stood forward. And just, I know I'm talking about, I just finished watching it maybe 3 minutes ago. I literally finished, went to the restroom, and sat in front of the camera to give you guys my first shots. I had no time to process this. But that is how much fun, and that's why, one of the reasons I love Star Wars. And maybe it's because I'm a prequel era fan. I grew up in the prequel eras, and I always accepted that it had some choppy writing and some choppy acting. But I love those characters, and it nailed the fun, it nailed the heart, it nailed the emotional moments. And so I can easily explain away and defend the prequels to the death because they are so good at what they needed to be good at, which was delivering this message to my generation, to getting us connect to these characters, watching the fall of Anakin. Even if there was clunky dialogue or clunky filming or blue screen to death. It understood the core assignment and it delivered that message successfully to me, which is why I'm here today. And this episode, I feel like in that same vein, delivered those same kind of emotions. Now, that's what absolutely I have to start with, is that last 10 minutes, because it was so much fun. At least to me. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't care. I'll tell you guys my opinion. I'll be honest with you. I loved that. I thought it was a great time. Now, throughout the episode, what else worked? There were some other moments I really enjoyed. One in particular, I enjoyed the death of some of our new rebellion members, right? Some of the filming, I think, does a poor job. It'll show like Reva at the front, then in the next shot, it seems like she's really far in the back. So it does a really not always a great job of letting you know the presence of the villains in these hallway scenes. But eventually, our new heroes, Ned B, and I'm forgetting this Kara. I'm forgetting the new Empire turned good character. She dies as well with Ned B. And I thought that was very rewarding. Thought it was a very good heartfelt moment where it's like, okay, these characters aren't invincible. They will suffer and die for the cause. Even though we like these characters, it's sometimes good to see that they can fall. It lets us know the stakes are real. And I really enjoyed that. That moment stands out for me as well. What else happened this episode? It's hard to even focus on anything else. But throughout the episode, I've already alluded to it, there are these prequel era flashbacks. Now, some people are going to say, oh, they wanted Clone Wars flashbacks where they're probably in their Clone War armor out in the battlefield. This to me was just as good. And I'll tell you why. We have 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. I've seen Anakin and Obi-Wan together. And yes, it'd be really cool to see their live action counterparts reenact some of those moments. I find the voice acting talent in Clone Wars, I love them just as much, and I think they have their own place in Star Wars. And so I'm fine if I never see Ewan and Hayden reenact those roles. They don't need to. And so this to me was a perfect kind of montage. Really cool. Seemed like they did some mild de-aging technology. I'm here for it. I thought it was cool. It's cool to get the real actors in there. De-age them a little bit so they look younger 20 years ago. Really, really cool. Hayden was there, guys. He was back. He had a big presence in this episode, and I really, really liked that. So those 3 things, the whole ending finale, phenomenal. Loved some of the emotional death. Really enjoyed the prequel era flashback. So much right. When I talk about the good outweighing the bad, those 3 things absolutely give me my money's worth of 45 minutes. Absolutely. Now, what didn't work so well in this episode? Well, I kind of already alluded to it. There was some interesting, I'm not going to pretend that I could do this. You guys, if you saw our video earlier this week, I did a Star Wars subscribe to, we did a little skit where Star Wars subscribed to our YouTube channel. You should check it out. I highly recommend it. Where we filmed on our iPhones a little tiny fun video. I won't spoil it, but I know how hard it is to film things well and to edit things correctly. So I'm not going to pretend that I could do this any better, but there were some moments I felt like where the camera, or the way it was edited, would show a character here and then the next scene they'd be back there or up here. Just a little jarring. Needed, I think, a little bit cleaner editing. And there's a couple things in the episode that I know people are going to nitpick to death. And if you want to, that's totally fine. You're definitely allowed to. But there are some silly things characters do. Let's call it what it is, guys. After I just said all that love for 8 minutes and 30 seconds, I will say one negative for me. It wasn't perfect. It does not make any sense why Reva would have called Kenobi out and then sent him back with some stormtroopers. She absolutely should have stayed on him if she was going to send him back. I don't know exactly why they wrote that scene for him to come out, give up his lightsaber, to pretend to surrender, to try to make an appeal to Reva, just so Reva would send him back to a place where he could get away. It's silly. And I'm not saying it ruins the episode in any way, but it's silly. I'm just going to call it what it is. That stuck out to me as a weak point. It was just weirdly written for the characters to not do those things. So that was a weak point for me. Number 2, there's a lot of conveniences happening in this episode. Guys, it's Star Wars. I'm not even going to pretend to say that Dude, I totally know Star Wars is full of these. But yeah, it was like, oh, I can find this object here and find this here. This works out well for me. So that kind of stuck out as a little convenient. And then finally, I think the one thing that this episode could have polished up a little bit as well is they don't really... I said this in the last episode as well. It's a little bit of rushing. We have an hour, and it's like all of a sudden we're here, and the characters are done with their activities, and it seems like a blink of an eye. Now, on one hand, I can appreciate that we're keeping the pace up and just getting to the meat of the story. For 45 minutes, we're kind of skipping the filler, but it does feel just mildly jarring to me. It's like, oh, okay, we're moving on here. Okay, we're moving on here. So that would be my other observation as well. But again, I know some people are going to be upset. Oh, Reva got stabbed and she's going to live. We all know she's going to live, right? Well, guys, I mean, come on. They set it up for you. The Grand Inquisitor comes back and he's like, it's amazing what hate will let you do. It makes you live. And she's full of rage. She's full of revenge. So she is going to survive just like Darth Maul did. Guys, look. I understand that Qui-Gon Jinn got stabbed and died. And that was his role. And Obi-Wan in A New Hope just gets swiped once and he dies. And how do these people just survive being stabbed? Both Grand Inquisitor and Reva have survived. Guys, Darth Maul got cut in half, dumped into a trash planet, rebuilt himself spider legs, and was able to survive by some dark magic witches. Okay, guys, to me, it's like, it is what it is. It's Star Wars. People live who shouldn't, people don't. Somehow Palpatine returned. That bothered so many people, never bothered me. It's like, yeah, okay, he lived. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to abilities many would find unnatural. Doesn't surprise me at all that the Darksiders can keep themselves alive longer and more unnaturally than the Jedi can. So that's one thing I know people are going to be talking about. I think the other thing is, and I can't believe I even skipped by this, the Reva reveal, her mission. Yeah, absolutely. I knew that was going to be. We all knew it. We knew she was a youngling. We knew she was going to turn good. And she didn't really turn good. She wants revenge, which is not the Jedi way. So she's leaning into the dark side, not into the light. And that is why she's unwilling to listen to Kenobi. It makes a lot of sense there as well. Now, is it convenient timing for her to walk up and try to stab Vader at that moment? Sure, I guess shoot your shot. If she thinks he's distracted, I buy that as well. I know some folks are going to be like, why would she attack him right then? Well, I think she thought he was distracted and totally focused on Kenobi. She's got him isolated. Shoot your shot. Why didn't she take swipes at other times? He was in a much different mental state. I think she probably sensed his anger, his focus, and thought. And I just love the fact that Darth Vader was just like, come on, you don't think I knew this whole time? Let me just one hand just absolutely dominate you. I'm sorry, I thought it was fun, guys. I don't know. As you can tell, I am completely wound up. I thought it was a ton of fun, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Yeah, there were some not great moments in here. There were some silly things. I don't care. I had a fun time. I thought it was a blast. It was my favorite episode so far. Is it the best episode? No, episode 1 is the best episode. It's 1, 3, and 5. Odd numbers so far, killing it for the show, which doesn't bode well for the finale. It's 6, so who knows? But this to me, the finale is going to obviously impact this a lot. I want to see one last really good fight between Obi-Wan and Vader. A really good one. I know a lot of people are going to be upset because I think Reva is going to play a role in that. And people are going to say, how could we have Reva in here? It's supposed to be the rematch. Guys, they have their fight at Mustafar, and they have their final duel in A New Hope. It makes a lot of sense to me Obi-Wan would need help, because look at Vader. We can't take her on alone. So if it's executed well, that's the key. If it's executed well, I'm fine if Reva's involved in that final fight. I want to see a well-executed moment. I do. And that would solidify the show as an absolute success to me. But so far, it's totally been a success. Anyone, and I'm going to wrap it up here because I'll make probably a whole separate video on here on this. But anyone who thinks this has somehow ruined Star Wars to me, I would just highly disagree with it. I would say, if anything, it's enhanced moments. And if it's not for you, it's not your whole cup of tea. I don't believe it ruined A New Hope or Revenge of the Sith. But that's just my opinion. We'll talk about it later. Come by in tomorrow's stream. Tell me I'm wrong. I can't wait to see the comments because I'm sure some people think I'm an idiot. And that's okay. You're allowed to have a different opinion. That's why it's fun. This has been, I think, my longest review ever. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. I had a ton of fun tonight's episode. Sorry I'm late. Hope you enjoyed it as well. We'll talk again very soon.